You might be familiar with Sony's class-leading autofocus, but do you know how to make it even better? For most Sony mirrorless cameras, the feature I use is called face registration. It allows you to register up to 8 faces in the internal memory. To register a face, all you have to do is take a headshot photo. Now your camera will recognize you or whoever you register in a crowd. Great for self-recording and event photography. For example, you can register the bride, the groom, and other key family members, making it a lot easier to get the right shot the first time. Mr. Camera Junkie's tip of the day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the live stream. Once again, my name's Lewis, as always, where I remind my name's Lewis, also known as Mr. Camera Junkie, where I remind you to upgrade your skills before your gear. So, welcome to the live stream. Thanks for hanging out. And yeah, I've already seen some people drop into chat. I see Robert here, Kippy. Oh, and we have Randall's in the house. Well, thank you for hanging out, guys. Right away, I'm gonna get into it as always. Today I'm gonna try something a little different because I am gonna be talking about my live stream setup. So if you guys have any questions about how I'm doing this and like what it is that I am doing and how I accomplish my live stream, well, first things first, I have to say that throughout the process, because another thing to mention is that today is week 26 of the live stream consecutively, so that's a big accomplishment. Wow, I can't even talk today. I'm just excited. So a big accomplishment for the fact that it's been 6 months consecutive of a weekly live stream, including putting up content, as far as just standard evergreen content and YouTube shorts. Just been dabbling in all the little aspects of it and been having so much fun while doing it. So as always, I just want to thank everyone who's stopping by and spending some time here on the live stream and hanging out. I do appreciate. I see Slice just hanging in there. Jake is in the house. How you doing, Jake? Welcome to the live stream. Everyone say hi to Jake. He's always in Doc Rock's live streams and Heather Ramirez live stream, which is Tom Buck's wife. And yeah, so absolutely, thanks for stopping by and hope you have fun. Today we're going to be talking about my live stream setup, and the main thing that I have been doing in these 6 months has been tweaking this setup on the live stream all the time. And every time that we're like tweaking it is just trying to make it that much better. Okay, let me go ahead and do this. All right. And with that saying, like adding graphics, like I just added onto the screen, and the little ticker and scroller, the overlays, everything. I have been doing it, and I've used a variety of programs, from first going from OBS to Streamlabs OBS. I've attempted Restream, and I think Restream is doing a little bit better right now, but all in all, when it came, the full culmination was that I ended up using Ecamm, and Ecamm is the program that I use to run this entire broadcast system. It takes care of so many aspects, and it allows me to do everything here. Now, one thing that I am going to attempt, because one thing that I did want to mention is that because of Ecamm, I have a 2-camera setup. So right now it just switched over to the secondary camera. What I'm going to do is I just wanted to illustrate it and show exactly what it looks like, how it works. And as I'm talking, without me even having to press any buttons, it's just going to be constantly switching back and forth from cameras. So what I am going to do is that I'm going to disconnect that camera, and I'm going to attempt to connect another camera here so that I can actually just have it like free floating, so that I can show you exactly what I'm looking at when I do my live streams, because I've been able to marry a nice little harmony of older technology and newer technology, and maybe even older technology to be able to produce every little aspect of what I'm doing here. So first things first, everyone usually asks is like, what cameras are you using? Well, right off the bat, what I am using is a Sony A6100 and the Sony A7R2 is my secondary angle camera. I used to have them swapped, but just for the convenience factor that when I actually go to do photography and I'm gonna be paid for it, as professional, I'm actually using that camera. So having the A6100 on the tripod and kind of just staying there most of the time, then what it allows me to do is to just disassemble this little hanging setup, which I'm going to show you guys in a little bit. So I do use Sony for my live stream. I have the Sony A6100. The lens that I have paired with it is the Sigma 16mm f1.4. Right now I do have it at f1.4, so you can get all that blurry background, but it's not a green screen. It's just a really good lens that allows you to get that same type of imagery, but everything that's back there is real. The other thing is I have another 24mm 24 to 70 lens on my A7R2. Now the A7R2, I'm just addressing it right now, it's also giving me a pretty good wide angle, and as you can see, they're all within distance where I can just touch them. So those are the cameras that I'm using. To connect them to my computer, I am using just standard like the Amazon USB 3.0 video capture cards. Now the video capture card is what's allowing me to transmit the high definition or the HDMI output out of these cameras directly into my computer, and allows Ecamm to maneuver them and switch back and forth through the cameras and cycle and do everything that I want. Another added feature about Ecamm, if you didn't know, is that it actually has a virtual camera setup. So the same way that you're seeing the live stream with the overlays, the text, anything that you want to do on screen, graphics, so on and so forth, can all be added to a virtual camera. So the next time that you would connect to Zoom into a Zoom meeting, you actually have the ability to select that virtual camera as your output source and have Ecamm doing all the same bells and whistles that you're seeing on the live stream in a Zoom call or a Zoom meeting. So it really gives you the power, and all that's done through Ecamm. Now I'm going to continue because a lot of people probably think that I have a top of the line computer that's controlling all of this. No, the one thing about Ecamm is that Ecamm is based in the Mac ecosystem, so you have to have or be using an Apple computer to have the ability to use Ecamm. It's not available for Windows. But what I'm actually running is a 2012 Mac Mini. It is a i5 or Intel i5 Pentium processor. I believe it's a quad core, so it's only a 4-core processor as the CPU, 16 gigs RAM, and a 120 gig SSD hard drive. Excuse me, SSD hard drive, which stands for solid state drive. It's the difference between like a old school hard drive, which had spinning disks, which tends to slow things down in the transfer of data and the overall speed of the computer, compared to like a flash USB drive, which transfers information a lot faster. So an SSD is kind of like using a flash drive as your standard hard drive. So that's where the computer goes, and that's another thing that impresses me with Ecamm, that I'm able to do all of this with just a simple computer. And I was lucky enough to purchase that computer for only $100. Now, $100 for a machine that has the ability to do all of this, I think that's just crazy, because Ecamm really does give you the power to do so much with very little. Now, the audio that I have here is one of my more recent purchases. I actually got this Samsung MTR 101 studio condenser microphone. Love the way that it looks, love the way that it sounds, especially compared to what I had been using before, which was a shotgun microphone. And even when I first started the live stream, oh, I have it here. my first live streams, the microphone that I had on this scissor arm here was my Zoom H5 handy recorder, literally turned on and then had the outline running into the computer, and that's what I used to go live for the first time. Because this whole setup, even though I'm going through it meticulously, it's been a work in progress for 6 months at least, you know, so it really has taken shape. So going from something that simple to now having a full XLR system where I have this microphone. The microphone itself was my most recent purchase, but this goes into my Depusheng, and it is a cheap, and I mean cheap, because there's a difference between cheap and inexpensive, and this was cheap, and because it was cheap, it was inexpensive. I picked this up on Amazon for $50. It is a, you know, it has the digital like faders, you know, the sliders on the mixer itself, and that's why I wanted it, because there was probably like higher name brand ones in the same price range, but they didn't have the physical faders for the audio, because I would like to be able to just, for example, fade out my audio. So what I said there and you couldn't hear was that when I take the fader down, I can mute myself and you wouldn't hear me at all. I just mute myself completely. But that's the type of audio control that I wanted to have. So I was able to pick this up for $50, and it's been okay. I can't say I would recommend this to anyone. It was an experiment and it worked. It's still working. That's why I still have it. But like I said, would I recommend it to anyone? Not really. It's given a little bit of a problem when it comes to the headphone out channel. So I use a in-ear monitor here to listen to the music, the sound effects, everything that's going on, just to make sure that everything is going out to you guys nice and clear. And what it's not doing was actually, it wasn't feeding the left channel, so it started giving me a little bit of an issue, but nothing to complain because I paid $50 for it. So for $50, it's really holding its own and doing a great job for me weeks and weeks on end. So with that being said, the mixer is mixing all of my audio components, which is what I have here as well. I have a iPad 3rd generation, which I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't even remember how old this is, of how long I've had this iPad. So when the iPad 3rd generation came out, if you want to Google it, that's what I have in front of me. And I had no use for this iPad at all, because the software on the iPad is so old that it really doesn't run the more up-to-date apps. Like, I don't even think I could run Facebook on it. Something that simple, but it's so updated, and Facebook is such a big file that now this iPad can't even handle it. With that being said, I was lucky enough to have purchased an application called Hundreds of Buttons that gives me a bunch of buttons with all the sound effects. You know, I could send transmissions or just do the air horns, and it's all touch screen. And because I purchased it on my iPad, I was able to see it, because it was already in my, like app history. I was able to just drop it into my older iPad, bring it up, and now this is my dedicated soundboard touchscreen as an iPad. So I have that connected via headphone jack directly into the second channel of the 4-channel mixer. So channel 1 has my microphone, channel 2 has my iPad with the sound effects, which I'm able to bring down and up with the audio with the faders just the same way. Now channel 3, that's the music. I have it down low so that it's just a nice cool like undertone to the whole live stream, but I also have the ability to fade it into full power, but I usually have it down low so that we can have the conversation and still enjoy some music while we do it. That's on channel 3. and channel 4 is really not being used at the moment. Now, the one other thing that I had with the live stream is the ability to actually go online and like Google search things if a question were to come up about a particular item or something that I just don't know or wanted to just see for myself. So, gotta catch my breath. Okay, so what I have is my other iPad now, and through Ecamm, because Ecamm is such an incredible program, and the fact that it's all native, so you have a native Apple iPad connected directly to the Mac Mini, and the Mac Mini is running Ecamm. Ecamm has the ability to see the Mac Mini as its own source. So even though we're switching through cameras, I still have the ability to just switch over to here, and now we're looking at my iPad, giving me the ability to go online, search anything, and I have, you know, my keyboard connected to it so that, like I said, if I wanted to search something online, I have the ability to just go onto this screen and do a, you know, web search, or, you know, even do a speed test on my iPad to see how fast the internet's going. So that is pretty much it in a nutshell. The latest part of this right now is the fact that I was able to upcycle, is the word that's used, or like it's kind of like taking technology that's broken and repurposing it. And I was able to repurpose an old ATX power supply from a computer that had burnt out. I kind of gutted it, kept the fan, and now that fan is blowing a nice little silent breeze onto my face, which allows me to keep the air conditioning off in the live streams. And that's pretty much it. So now, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and check the chat real quick, because that pretty much brings everything, and then I'm gonna see about connecting the camera to actually show you everything and how it looks like from this end. All right, so let's get back to it. All right. Oh, the chat got busy. Okay, so we have Sly here, we have Jake, everybody's saying hi to everyone. Aubrey's hanging out. How you doing, Aubrey? Welcome to the live stream. Says, man, it's gonna be good here. Fajitas and margaritas at our house tonight, but I figured I'd stop by. Oh, great, man. Hey, yeah, but don't miss out on those fajitas or margaritas, because I'd probably be all over those myself, because that sounds delicious. Says, Obs is incredible, is in the house. Yep. Okay, let me do something here. Let me fix this. And lock that in. Okay, gonna keep that there. That's the one thing I forgot to do, to change like this overlay, because I've been doing a lot with getting everything ready. Okay, all right, says, hey Lewis, congrats on your 26th consecutive weekly live stream. Great tip of the day. Thank you, and thank you for hanging out, Callie. I really appreciate you stopping by, saying hi to everybody. Tech for your needs. Hello folks, how you doing, Nano? Welcome to the live stream. Thanks for stopping by. Sly says, I did the 100 for the computer, include the keyboard and mouse. Actually, no. The whole thing is that I was using, for those of you who don't know as well, I love using this application called OfferUp to buy used gear for pretty much everything. There's a couple of reasons why. You can get a good deal. My business, my day-to-day business, is based locally in my vicinity. So every time that I do a transaction is just like another business card that I'm giving to somebody else who gets to meet me and know about my business and potentially need an iPhone repair. So that always helps, because a lot of the deals that I've gotten in the past through OfferUp have always come back to do return repairs for iPhone, because I provide a pretty good service. So once people have that in their mind, like they call me back for that service. But it's just interacting with my community. So, it's a lot. I find it better to see if maybe somebody who is in need and is selling an item locally, I can help them out before I just go grab it off Amazon. You know, it works hand in hand. So the individual that was selling this computer apparently had a couple of computers for sale, and they were all marked up a little bit, you know. So I believe he was asking $150 for the Mac Mini by itself. He had another one that he was selling for $200 because that one had a monitor and a keyboard and mouse. And then he was also selling, well, let me see if you guys can see it. Okay, right there, that's a Mac, an iMac. I believe it's also a 2012. Oh, hopefully the mic's okay. So back there I have a 2012 or 2013 iMac. So he was selling all three of these items, and you know, and I had personally all the screens and monitors and keyboards I could ever need. So that wasn't something that I needed to get from him, and apparently that was something that was hard for him to let go. So we negotiated a deal where I picked up 2 Mac Minis and that iMac, just like that, with no extra accessories, everything for $300. So each item ended up being $100 for me. I'm gonna show you right here in a second that the Mac Minis, I actually glued them like together, and I used them as a tower, and I run them separately on 2 separate computers here. And that's actually what I've dubbed my Apple Cube, because it's just like this square block of Apple computer that I have sitting in the middle of my desk, and that is what's running everything that you see here. And then I have that one in the back as well. That one is my son's computer. I just put stuff on the internet for him and just have it play, and that's his entertainment, so to speak. So that's what I have, and I'm just gonna keep going in the chat. But yes, I actually got each item for this setup like at $100. I paid $300, and I got 3 Apple computers, 2 Mac Minis and an iMac. Okay. It says, what kind of computer? I came in late. I think you just heard. That's all the computers that I have for this. I also have a Windows machine, which is a monster machine, but right now that's pretty much dedicated to Twitch. I have it because it's a gaming computer, so I have my games on that system, and I run a Twitch stream. I haven't really done it, but I do have it where I'm playing Final Fantasy VII, the 1997 version, the old school version, for the last time, because before I touch the new remake of that game, if I get around to it, I'm gonna play this one and like leave no stone unturned and replay it to the T. You know, make sure I do every side mission and everything, and then retire that game because I won't ever play it again. It says, I'm watching on an iPad Pro 2020 11-inch 128 gigabyte cellular model. That's nice. Sidecar. Nice. It says, great deal on computers. Yeah. Alright. As I don't live stream yet, do you think I need to invest in switching over to Apple? No. Actually, no. And that's why I was going to tell you. You know, I've fallen in love with Ecamm, but I've also, and if Kippy's still here, he can vouch for it. We've been on Brandon Washington's live stream for like 2 weeks consecutive that he's actually been doing them. And with him, he's been using Restream.io. And I had mentioned that as well, that I actually have used Restream, and it wasn't like the best for me, but it looks like they've really put a new like user interface onto it, and it's been a lot better, and it's just been working a lot better right now. And it's also completely web based, so your computer itself really doesn't determine on the specs. You know, when it comes to eCam, because I do everything here in house and I want to have the ability, that's just me being extra, right? But I want to have the ability to do all these things on the live stream, change cameras, you know, go into interview modes where I could actually bring people on. That's something that's now also available through Restream. So Restream is a complete web-based system where you connect to your computer to it, and then you host everything as like this virtual computer on the internet. Then anyone that you want to bring on as a guest or stream to multiple places can all be done through Restream.io. That's another option. And Sly, you also know that through Windows you can use the Streamlabs. Excuse me. Had to sneeze, guys. Excuse me. But yeah, you can use Streamlabs, OBS, and I still like Streamlabs. I think it works well. So that's an option, and you definitely have a good enough computer that you don't need to invest in an Apple computer. Says, what Mac OS are you running? I am running not Big Sur, the one. Which one's the one after that? Hold on, I'm pulling it up right now, if I could. Catalina. Wow, I ran a blank on that. I was like, it's not. Yeah, I'm not even gonna tell you, but yeah, I'm running Catalina. Serenity Journey. How you doing, James? Welcome to the live stream. Thanks for hanging out. It says, right now my iPad Pro is connecting to an external Magic keyboard and an external mouse for some reason. I wanted to use it like this. I rarely use it like this. That's funny, right? Sometimes we get this stuff and we don't use it the way that we intend to. Well, with that being said, give me 1 second because I'm gonna connect this computer here. This camera to the computer. Right. Let me switch the. Oh yeah, it went black. Come on, switch. What happened? Did I pull off the wrong one? I think I pulled out the wrong. I pulled out the wrong one. All right, let's try that again. And that's how you do it live. I'm like, why did it go black? I didn't think it was switching. Okay. Let's see what we're seeing here. Okay. I believe we have an image, so let's go ahead and check. Boom. All right. All right, so this is my NEX6 camera, so not the best quality. But just to show you what I'm looking at, let's see if we can focus. Okay, that's my A6100 on the tripod. That's facing directly to me. Oh, I didn't even mention lights, because this is my grid light that I created. It's made out of foam board and DIY project as well. That's my main key light. The second is this light here, which is just basically an IKEA lamp that I threw a grid on top of as well. So those are my two lights. Right here we have my microphone. That is my Samsung MTR 101. This is what I see here. Those are your comments. That's what's going out to you guys. Those are all my overlays and switching cameras. Over here we have the audio feed. And that's what I see on my desktop while I live stream. Right here is the 3rd generation iPad. So right there we're looking at my hundreds of buttons. That's what we see here with basically the application. So whenever I want to throw some sounds out there, that's how easy that is. Like I said, it's connected via headphone jack to the mixer, and then I have it powered up. Just to show you how old this iPad is, let me bring this in. It's the 32-pin connector. That's what powers this. That's to tell you, like, it's not even a lightning cable. But that's the way you do it. Oh wait, hold on, there we go. Okay, so that's what's powering up. This is, let me move the microphone a bit. This is the audio mixer. Now this is the 4-channel mixer. Like I said here, this is the main. The channel 3 and 4 are mixed together via USB, and all the music that you hear on my live stream is being ran from this little USB key here on the top. Let me see if I can get closer to it. And that's basically my audio PlayStation right there, like my audio deck. All the music is on that drive, and it's being controlled by. Ooh, that's sorry guys. I think I hit the microphone, so sorry if that hurt your ears. And yeah, and that's the audio mixer. Channel 1's the microphone. Like I said, channel 2 is the sound effects. As you can see, I have them written down there. Channel 3 is the music, and then main is that right there. Standard Bluetooth keyboard. Let me move the microphone back. Okay. Now just off to the left of this, right, I have my iPhone. My iPhone is actually doing the lights. So this is just here having a push button with all the different light setups that I have here. So at a push of a button, I can change the entire scheme of the way that it looks. And then off to the left, I have my shotgun microphone here. If you can see there, the shotgun microphone, that's my backup microphone in case anything happens to the first. You always gotta have backups. Now, move over to the right. Let me see if we can see this well. That's my Apple Cube. That's the 2 Mac Minis glued together with Mr. Bruce Banner, one of my good friends there, hanging out on top. That is what I call my Apple Cube. The left side, or the left Mac Mini, goes to this, and the right one goes to the right side, which is actually showing the live stream. Just to the right of it is my newest acquisition. That's my silent fan. I reconstructed repurposed the ATX power supply, and that's what's giving me a cool breeze. Coffee for everyone who's bought me a coffee. Thank you. That's what's, that's the caffeine that's needed for the system. And right here is my iPad that's connected via Lightning directly to the computer, and that is my Logitech keyboard that controls the iPad. And I didn't even show it. Hanging here, that is my A7R2 that is being hung on top via articulating arm. So you can see it's built right into my cage and just hangs there, and whenever I finish my live stream, I just unbuckle it from the top part where it's being held up there, if we can see, and then I just take the camera back down. And that is the behind the scenes of the MrCameraJunkie live stream. Let's see. There we go. Okay, I think that was successful. All right. So now let's go back. Boom. All right, let me turn this off. And give me just 1 second while I reconnect the other camera. All right. And that is the behind the scenes of the MrCameraJunkie live stream. You know, that's why I said upgrade your skills before your gear, because a lot of times you can use a lot of gear that you would neglect and maybe even say like that's not even worth anything. And I really put to emphasis this iPad 3rd generation that I really, even to myself, I was like, I have no use for this, you know. And I held on to it because, you know, what is it gonna be, a landfill or something? So I just held on to it, and now it's like such a big part of the live stream. So, well, let me see what you guys think. I'm gonna go back to the stream here. Okay. All right. So it says, okay, we read that one. It says you're doing a Professor Nez sneezing on a live stream. Oh, I didn't even realize that. You know what? You're so right. I'm gonna mention to him tomorrow. I'm like, you know what? You infected me. You infected me, and now I'm sneezing on my live streams because that's not typical. Oh, don't worry, Nano. I read typo. I'm good. I've been in the digital space for so long. You know, if I can't read a typo, man, that it's gotta be tough. You know, I gotta sit there and be scratching like, what was this person trying to say to me? If I get a text message that I can't understand how, you know, Siri done messed it up, it's got to be really bad. Check him out. It says balling on a budget. Oh, that's what it's supposed to say. That's so small. Why is it so small? There we go. Like so. Let's bring that there. That looks good. Alright, let's try to lock that in. So yeah, balling on a budget. It says my backup mic is the Rode Wireless Go 2 with the Rode Lavalier Go. I purchased it a couple of weeks ago. That's great. I don't get me wrong, like I'm a camera junkie. I love all the tech, but I also know how to, you know, like, well, I guess like live within my means. You know, I don't have all the money in the world to just go out and buy the greatest you know, tech and gear in any aspect, but I am able to make the most of what I have. You know, like there are some certain key aspects, you know, like my Sony A6100, my A7R2, but I give this as an example. My A7R2 is what I would use for my photography to actually do photos. If something bad were to happen to that camera, I have my A6100, which wouldn't be ideal, but I know that I'd be able to get the job done. But when you're like a content creator and you're doing this, you know, I just start realizing where I need to have a backup to the backup, so to speak. You know, like I need to have, like, before you upgrade any piece of gear, be sure that you're able to purchase that item twice. Like that you have enough to buy it and then buy it again. Because if you're using it like most of us are, we're highly dependent on that device, you know? Because it's the connection that I have to you guys. So without it, if I were to drop my camera and it were to break and then I don't have that connection to you guys, that's gonna suck for me so bad, because this is what I want to be doing, and that's why I appreciate all of you guys coming out to hang out with me, because this is just like like me saying like, hey, you know what, let's go hang out on a Saturday, and I have a group of camera junkies who are like-minded, who come out to, you know, like talk camera tech and just, you know, share their journey and just be part of this community. So it's just amazing to me, and just, it's awesome. So I thank all of you guys. But if I didn't have a camera, I wouldn't be able to do what we're doing right now. And that's when I start recognizing like, yeah, these things are amazing devices, and we just sometimes think of them just like, it's just a camera. And it's like, my camera is like my baby, you know, it's like my second child, you know. So whenever I have my camera with me, and somebody, you know, I go somewhere and I have it with me, people be like, why don't you just leave that in the car? I'm like, would you leave a child in the car? No. So why would I leave my camera? Like, that makes no sense. And that's another thing. Jared Poland, you know, Frono's Photo, he's always saying like, don't be an ass, you know, like, don't leave your camera that you depend on with all this expensive gear in your car, because somebody breaks into it and takes your gear. That's all on you, you know. And it is, and that's just, it's the same scenario as if you were to drop it and break it, you know. If something negative were to happen, that you don't have the gear that you depend on, you will really feel the loss. So just, I guess, me having the thought of like, what happened if I drop my camera and it's like donezo, really puts me to think. I'm like, I don't really have the capital to replace all the gear that I have. But that's actually where I would like to be before I start like upgrading from the gear. Because what good would it do me if I save up like all this, you know, money to buy a piece of gear, and something unfortunate happens where I don't have it anymore? That would suck even worse. So I say, before you upgrade, you know, on top of, like I always say, upgrade your skills before your gear. I think you should be able to just be able to be so sure in your upgrade that you know that if push come to shove, if you needed to buy 2 of them, you would do it, because that upgrade makes that much of a difference to you. So I guess that's a good way of putting it, right? If you're thinking about upgrading to a piece of tech, before you upgrade it, hypothetically, and I'm just making this up right now, but let's go with it, right? Hypothetically, put it in your mind as if it costs twice as much than the listed price. So, you know, before you go buy the Sony A1, would you pay, you know, $12,000 for that camera? Like a red or something like that? And if you were gonna buy a red, would you buy a red for like 50,000 instead of 24,000? It's just like a numbers game. Like, that will really put you to think, is like, is the potential upgrade that I'm getting really worth all of that, or can I work with what I have already? And I think that will put you in a good position to actually know, like, hey, you know what, do I really need this gear, or am I maximizing the gear that I have already? Because that's another question. You know, are you really using all of the gear that you have to the fullest? You know, I can say probably not, because it's me that I'm a camera junkie. I love this stuff. I love testing it, and I still don't put all of my gear to the fullest potential, because I have more lenses than camera bodies and not that many subjects to photograph. So it just goes to show you, you know, when it comes to my photography, I could either use my 55mm Zeiss or my 85mm from the Sony, and I'm gonna get great images no matter what. It's just what it is. Now, the lens that I actually think that I use the least is the one that I just made a video about, which is the 10 to 18mm, the Sony. This little guy right here. I don't know if I'm gonna hold on to it, because I just did the test and I started to realize, like, the image that I'm getting from it, right? the quality of the image is not that much different than the kit lens. Second, I don't ever use this at its ultra wide 10mm. Excuse me. I actually don't like the way that it looks. It's way too fisheye, and I am a rectilinear guy, so my lenses I like to be like this 24mm and like this 16mm, which is basically in a 24mm in APS-C. It's a non-fisheye look, so you get a 24mm wide, but not, you know, a fisheye effect where it looks way too bubbly. So whenever I use this at the 10mm, which is a 15mm equivalent, and I have it at arm's length, which is like right here, my arm looks so long and everything gets so like warped out, especially at the edges. I don't like it. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with this lens. I might end up selling it to see, you know, the most that I can get for it, and maybe use that to invest in my new piece of gear, maybe something new for the channel. Because the one thing that I've noticed is that, you know, I am using the Amazon $18 video capture card, and I actually have a pretty good image comparative to what other people have gotten from these video capture cards. What I have noticed is that whenever because I just recently did this, you know, jumping on maybe somebody else's stream. I jumped on Heather Ramirez's stream just the other day, which, yeah, I believe it was Friday, so it was just yesterday. And then I did my first interview, which was with JP High Tech on Tuesday, and I'm losing track of days, but regardless, that when I'm doubling up the signal and it's going, you know, out from the computer and then hitting another computer and then being rebroadcast, the image hasn't been that well. So I think that my next piece of gear, you know, upgrade is probably going to be a higher quality video capture card. I think I'm going to have to get the 60 frames a second. Oh, sorry. I think I'm going to have to get the Elgato one. And I think that's going to give me the crispiest image for everything, obviously, but also for that like restreaming or that interview mode type of connection, which is something that I want to be doing. I had so much fun on Heather's stream to actually be able to, you know, hop on somebody else's stream and go live. I want to at least be presentable, so to speak, and get a good quality image comparative to what I've seen. You know, I've checked the replays on YouTube, and I really not satisfied with the quality of the image, when I especially know that these cameras are really doing work. They're pumping out a good image. These Sony cameras are really doing really good for me, and maybe I'm bogging it down because I bought an $18 capture card. So you know, I'm taking the hit on that. But when I purchased those capture cards, I wasn't even sure if I was going to continue live streaming. So it was just a test thing to say, you know what, yeah, I'll throw $18 at it to see if it helps out. And it's gotten me 6 months down the road to a live stream every day. So it has made a difference. It's been an incredible value for what I've gotten out of it. To say that I've paid $18 for something that I've used week in and week out for $18 for 6 months, great investment. But I'm also looking to incrementally step up, you know, the kit. I do want a Mac Mini M1 that would make so many things better for me. That is also because of like the rendering of my videos. I'm really starting to realize that I want to create more content, and the speed of my rendering of like my videos takes a long time. Now what I've been doing is, like, whenever I finish a video, I just set it to just render, and then I go to sleep, so that then the next morning it's ready. You know, it's like set it and forget it. But my last video, I was speaking to Ricky from another channel called Filmtopia, and we were having a conversation about the same thing, and I mentioned to him that I was just uploading a video, which is the one that I put out today, and I wanted to make a change to it. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make the change and I need to re-render that file. So when I went to re-render it, I didn't let it go overnight because I wanted it to be ready for today. So when I sat there and waited, my 5-minute video, yeah, it's got some layers, it's got some intricacies to it, yeah, but it took an hour and a half to render a 5-minute video with my computer. So that goes to show you how slow my machine actually is working, and I'm really starting to realize that that's being a hindrance to the amount of content that I can produce, because if I can render files faster and I want to make an adjustment to it, it's not going to take all the time in the world. Is not going to take an hour and a half for 5 minutes of 4K footage to render out on Final Cut Pro, and that's what I experienced yesterday. Now, I'm not sure if that's always like that. I'm gonna do some other tests, but an hour and a half, that's a long time. So then once I had the file to then upload it to YouTube and then just wait however long it takes to render to 4K and high quality, high definition, it's all a waiting game. So it gave me a new perspective. I'm like, you know what, I could be wasting time and I could be producing more content just because I'm lagging on a computer. So that's what I'm thinking about doing, and I know that if I were to get it, I'd be able to pump out a 4K signal on my live stream with that 4K Elgato, and I know that it won't break a sweat. If I try to run 4K on this machine, whew, that was the whole thing. The 4K was making this thing sound like a F-14 Tomcat jet. So he says, Nano says, trust me, I'm done buying things for a while. I mean a while. Yeah, exactly, because sometimes we have too much. And I don't know of those of you who know about Peter McKinnon, but Peter McKinnon himself, he literally just went through a recent purge where he got rid of all of his gear. If it wasn't something vintage that didn't work in the first place, I think he kept that. But anything else is just basically he's down to 3 lenses. Hydration, guys. Hey Randy, that was the frappe mocha. That's what's giving me the caffeine juice today. But yeah, even Peter McKinnon has recently just done a purge of all of the gear because it's there's not enough minutes in the day. There's not enough time in the day, even if you were just shooting all day, every day, to use all the gear that's out there. So that's why I said really be thoughtful about the gear that you're gonna upgrade and know that. That's why I also advocate for the kit lens, because the kit lens gives you a good enough range, and it's gonna let you know what your favorite focal length is. And that's very important, because once you know oh, I love shooting at 24, or oh, I love shooting at 50mm, or I love this or that, then I would say once you know what look you like, what look you're going for, then go ahead and invest on a good piece of glass in that focal length as far as a prime goes instead of a zoom. That way you'll have a much higher quality images for video or photo in your desired focal length. Gibby says, hey man, just tuned in. Says travel advice: when traveling with your gear, never check it, always carry it on with you on the airplane. Oh yeah, that's a great tip, which I absolutely agree. Yeah, never never just, that's gotta be carry on. And that's another reason to not have too much gear too, to be able to have it in a pack where you can put it in a carry-on and you know that you have everything that you need, instead of having to go, crazy. Because I have a pretty small pack. I used what's it called? Oh, it's called the Low Pro. That's the brand, Low Pro Flipside 200. It's a small bag. The main thing for me for the bag is that it opens from the inside, so that you can't open it from the back side. Like, so if I was just to be wearing it, like, somebody can't open it standing behind me. I have to take off the pack to get to the inside, and that's it. Besides that, nothing major on that bag, and it's worked out very well for me. Says, question, MrCameraJunkie, do you save your live streams or just let YouTube take care of it? Oh, well, that's a good question. Because through Ecamm itself, all of the streams, everything, it creates a backup. So it's actually recording a file of everything that's happening on the live stream while you do it, and it gets saved right onto the computer. So if I wanted to repurpose that content, the files are right there, and that's something that could be done through Ecamm. Do I use it really? No. I just let YouTube do the thing, but that's something that I'm also need to get better at, because one thing that I want to start doing is I want to start repurposing these live streams. I want to take the good bits of information, good tips, good things like that, and just chop them up into smaller forms of content and start putting those as clips on the channel, for two reasons. It's a good bit of information, a good tip, it will be good content, and also it could draw more people who would see that bit and then know that that's the type of live streams that we're doing here on Saturdays, with a great community and answering any and all questions when it comes to photography, video, YouTube, live streaming, you name it. We take care of it here, collectively, through the comments and everyone that stops by and shares their knowledge. Okay, 16 gigabyte memory plus at least 512 SSD and storage of the M1 Mac Mini. Absolutely, I think that's just ideal. And I'm a person who also, that's something that I want to reach for as my next goal. I'm not waiting for the new Mac Minis. No. I've been on these bad boys long enough already. I'm pushing the limits. So and I'm also someone who doesn't count their chickens till they're hatched. So I'm gonna wait till I get my Mac Mini M1, and once I have it here and I have it fully integrated, then I'll feel good with selling these and try to see how much I can get back from these machines to actually just reduce the cost of my new Mac Mini M1. This question, are you ever going to have 4K streams in the future, or are you happy just staying at 1080p? Actually, that's why I want 4K. That's why you just heard me before I got to that question, that the next step is like the cam link, so that I could actually have a 4K image pumping out, and then the other thing would be the Mac Mini M1 that I could actually handle that. Once I have that, I think I'll be set, because I don't think I'll need anything else. Yeah, and that's just me thinking ahead. I really don't think I would need anything else. It says Frappe Mocha is a great pick me up. Yeah, and I know it's a frozen coffee, but it actually works. Like, I know that no matter which McDonald's I go to, I can get that, and it's gonna give me that jolt of caffeine that I would get from, like, a cortadito, an espresso shot. It's in there, so I know I definitely feel it. Brian, right? I'm messing up the name right now, but how you doing, sir? I think it's Byron. Bry B, or Bry on the prize, if I'm correct, right? That's how I met you in Clubhouse. Bry on the prize. How you doing, sir? Thanks for stopping by. Okay, I feel the same about the Sony 10 to 18. I paid about $575 for it. I used it and never satisfied with the quality. I just used my A6100 and keep the 10 to 18 wide open for the second angle. Yeah, like, so you see, thank you for like even feeling the same way, because just haven't really been satisfied. And that one was considered like lens of the year in 2014, something like that, you know. And it's, most people don't know that it's actually considered like a baby G lens because of the quality. Now, it's something that really doesn't bother me for the fact if you're doing landscapes and you want ultra wide, it's a great lens and you're gonna get good quality. I just don't do that, you know. And that's just a piece of kit that I'm saying, like, it's good, just not good for me. And you got to be real about that, right? Because I think that if I was doing landscape, and this is just me, I think I would be much happier with a rectilinear 24mm shot 4 times vertically, where I can do it and stitch them as a panorama and get an ultra wide with ultra high quality, than I would using this at 15mm. Right? So it just depends on how you would use it. If you're just gonna use a JPEG and you want an ultra wide for landscapes, more power to you. I'll sell you this one if you're interested, because I really do think I'm gonna sell it. And that's what I said. If I could get 500, and I wouldn't say, but if I could get $400 for this lens, because it's still valued at that, that's $400 towards my new Mac Mini. So I really got to put that into perspective, because if I'm not using that ever, and I know that I would use my Mac Mini every week, right? That's taking up space. And then, you know, now that I even talk about it that way, you know, speaking about it aloud, you know, the synapses start making sense. And I'm like, yeah, because actually if I were to sell the Mac Minis, even if I get it for the cost that I paid for it, right, with that lens being sold, that pretty much takes out the price of that Mac Mini M1. So I really got to put, you know, some thought into it and start doing my hustle, seeing what I can do, what I can't. It says, for me, 3 focal range lenses have to be the 24-50 and the 85 at the very least. Yeah, but the thing is with me as well, like I agree with that, and I would get them all primes. I wouldn't be using like a 24-70 if it wasn't for video. And if I'm doing portraiture work, it's primes. I'm going 55, 85, and 24. And the thing is, my 24mm prime, you're looking at it, because the Sigma 16mm gives me the look that I want from my 24mm as a prime. And at f1.4, the aperture is fast enough that it's incredible in low light. I don't have to spend $1,300 or $1,400 on the Sony, you know, on the Sony f1.4 G Master. Now it's an incredible lens. I take nothing away from it, but I don't have the price for it. So if I wanted to get that prime to kind of like complete my set, whenever I want to get that type of image, I use this lens. And that's what's been, you know, that's what's been sufficing for the moment. That's what's been keeping me away from the G Master. Now that's something that I want in the future. It's my favorite focal length, and I would definitely want that lens, but right now I can't afford it. So I'm just patient. I guess I'm a patient person. I don't get antsy, and I just wait for the stars to align so that things work out in my benefit. And eventually I'll have that lens. But as of right now, this bad boy is getting me by. Kevin's in the house. What's up, Kevin? Thanks for stopping by, man. Honestly, your 1080 image is crispy too. He goes, that's cool. Is actually, you know what? Let me check what I'm going at. You know what? I just read that, right? And I'm like, you know what? This fan is going like crazy on this computer. I don't know if you guys could hear it at all. I'm listening to it right now, and I'm like, it shouldn't be going crazy at 1080. So it does look good, and I appreciate it, Kevin. But I just realized I think I messed up the settings, and I'm running at 1440. So it's not 4K, but it's not 1080. I don't know exactly how you're watching it, but it's definitely pumping out a little bit higher. It's 2.5K, I believe, is 1440. So that's the image that we're shooting out right now. But yeah, now that I look at it, I'm like, yeah, my computer's actually, yeah, it's pumping out some air right now. You guys probably can hear the fan. It says, I was streaming in just 720p that day. My computer would struggle if it was 4K, but it was. I was using the Camlink 4K. Yeah, that's like, those are just the final pieces. I think I want the 4K, not because of the image that it's producing right now. But you know what? Then you know what? I'm just contradicting myself, but I thank you guys for giving me these ideas. I really do, because maybe the next upgrade that I should do is the Mac Mini, because if the computer is what's lagging it down, and if the image is good, then maybe the thing that's really causing the degradation in the image is the Mac Mini, not so much the USB video capture card. So I'm gonna have to look into it. But thank you for all that information. I'm glad it does look good. I do work on it, you know. So hopefully, you know, everything works accordingly. But these are just the minor upgrades that I want to do, you know, to actually get the best stream possible, because those things will highly improve the live stream. And I'm still gonna be using an iPad 3rd generation for my sound effects, and they work great. That's the whole thing. Whenever somebody hears it, they're like, "What are you using? Rodecaster Pro?" I'm like, "No, I have the Focaster Pro, the fake one." Oh man, the Focaster Pro. It says, I really wish I could find a 12mm prime lens. Do you know of one? But not Zeiss. The autofocus was way too loud. Now, I don't know if you still have that lens or if you sold it, because I believe you did get that Zeiss 12mm. Did you try it in manual focus? Because I know if you're using it as a secondary camera off to the side, you can just literally set it to, like, you know, focus in the area where you're going to be, and have it not move and not make a sound at all. You know, kind of more like a filmmaking aspect of a lens, like a cinema lens, that they don't have autofocus. Everything is just gears and manual to like dial it in. So if you like the image that you're getting from the 12mm, if it's not like too fish-eyed, and you like the image that you're getting from it, and the autofocus is what's troubling you, you know, going that wide, it could benefit you to just switch it over to manual on the camera. And that's if it's not built into the lens itself. Go into it, set it up as a manual focus, and then just use the ring to, you know, dial it in to where you're going to be, set it and forget it, and you might be able to use that lens. If not, I would have to look into it, because I haven't seen any 12mm. And if you're using the Sony system, yeah, expensive stuff. That new 14mm G Master. that's the one that just came out. That's their widest lens. Or am I wrong? I'll have to look into it. I think there might be a 12-24 that Sony has. I think it's a 12-24 2.0. Let's check right now. Look, let's put it to use. Boom. Here we go. We are checking the internet. If it lets me. Okay. Sony 12 to 24 f2.8. I think so, and it's a G Master. Boom. It's only $2,800. Well, there you go, Callie. Try to see if you can use that one in manual, because to get the 12mm the way that you want it is gonna cost you more than your camera and probably your whole setup. $2,800, really? Yeah, used it's at $1,200 from Adorama. And I would have to look at that, because why is that one? Wow. It's a massive lens too. To get it that fast, I'm just looking at it like, let's see, let's check out this image. Look at the bulb on that. That is, wow. What are we looking at here? That is a bulbous lens, you know, on the front. You wouldn't be able to put any filters on it at all. Wow. So you see, there you go. We learned something. And that's part of the setup. That's why I have that iPad there. I forget that I use it sometimes, right? That's why I have it there. Okay. Kippy says, yeah, I mean, I would need that in primes. Says, because that's what I have too, as in all essential primes I must bring on the job every time. Yeah, and that's what you're comfortable with. I had a photographer, a very experienced photographer, told me years ago, he's like, when you understand the type of photographer that you are, and that's, you know, that's gonna be trial and error. You know, you're gonna learn the type of photography that you're gonna like to do. That's your journey. But once you learn the type of photographer that you are, he's like, you're probably gonna end up with just 2 lenses. I was like, really? Because the funny thing, I was buying a lens off of him. I was like, really? He's like, so should I buy this right now? But yeah, he's like, you're gonna end up with just like 2 lenses. And yeah, because that's when you actually learn what type of photography you want. So like, I know that I would want that G Master 24mm. Everyone that's ever used it's like, this is the best lens that I've ever used in my life. And it's like, I haven't tasted that forbidden fruit, and I'm leaving it there. You know, it's staying on the shelf for now, because I know that once I get it, I'm not gonna turn back from it. So, you know, I gotta play my cards right. Kevin says he's seeing me in 1080. Randall's seeing me in 1440. Says, yeah, you can hear the fan a bit. Yeah, I had taken care of that last week, but I had been doing all these settings, so my apologies. Next week it will be at 1080, because 1080, this computer doesn't make a sound. It just stays nice and quiet, and you won't be getting anything. And then that's another thing, this microphone, a condenser microphone, this thing picks up every sound. I can't even tell you, like, it picks up the refrigerator. And sometimes I'm like, it's the refrigerator, should I unplug it? But I'm not there yet to unplug the refrigerator. The air conditioning's off, but not the refrigerator. Randall says 2.5K. Yep, that's 1440. Says the only thing that I miss is Apple. Hold on, let me read that right. The only thing that I miss from Apple is a computer. Also, right now you have like Apple iPads and everything, but you don't have an Apple computer. Okay. Well, unfortunately, the eCam doesn't work on the iOS devices, only on the Mac, and it's not so easy to push over, even though eCam is native to M1, which is something that's also incredible. The eCam is the first broadcasting / live streaming setup software that actually is native already to the M1 Mac Minis and all the M1 platforms. So it runs native right onto it. If you guys are interested, anyone, I believe I left the link in the description. I'm trying to do that for all my videos because I use it for pretty much all my videos, like even my recorded content. I'm not saying that I'm doing everything on it, but it does, you know, like my screen recordings, it does so many of the recordings, like when I'm doing settings on the computer, I just keep getting on the camera, I'm recording it with the computer. So instead of me purchasing a $600-700 Atomos Ninja external recorder just so that I can record the settings on my camera while they're on screen, that's what I have Ecamm doing. So the same signal that you would see here, what I do is I would put a lens cap on it and make sure that the signal that's being shot out of the camera is not a clean HDMI. So clean HDMI means that the signal that comes out is going to come out without all the little information that's built into the camera, which is what I'm trying to show in a video. So I make sure that I turn that feature off so that everything that the camera is displaying will be shown up on the webcam aspect, and then I just have Ecamm record the webcam as I scroll through the pages of the menu, and it gives me a black screen which I am then able to add into my videos. So all those aspects are things that I'm able to do with Ecamm. Is just such an amazing program. It's like it's all about upgrading your skills, right? It's like upgrade your skills, know the programs and the things that you have at your disposal, and try to maximize them as most as possible, because you know you can give somebody a hammer and a nail and they can put up a picture frame, and then you can give somebody else a hammer and some nails and they can build you an entire house. Two people that have two different skill sets using the same exact tool for two completely different purposes. So okay, Kevin says iPad gets the job done. I would upgrade the other areas if I were you. There's a Rokinon 12mm f2, but it's manual focus too. I would have mentioned that, right? But if it's manual focus, I said try the one that you already have, that you already purchased, Cali, and manual. You know, before you go look for another manual lens, is going to give you the similar image. It says Apple products: iPhone XR, Apple Watch Series 5, AirPods Pro, iPad Pro 11-inch 128 cellular model, Magic Keyboard and Pencil 2, missing an Apple computer. Well, if you are thinking about doing it, and if that's only if you are, I would tell you go with the M1. There's no reason to do anything else. There's no reason to wait on the hypotheticals. It's like when people are like, I have money and I want to buy my first camera, and should I wait for the Sony A7R4? I'm like, why are you gonna wait on a hypothetical? Find something that you can buy right now. You know, did I say R? I meant A7 IV, not the R4. The R4 already came out. The A7 IV. I'm like, if you can get an A7 III and maybe invest in a good lens, you'll be way better off. And you know, God knows when that camera might show up. If it shows up in 6 months from now, you know, is the camera that you're using not gonna be good in 6 months from now? Absolutely not. You know, so why wait? Because the amount of skill that you can learn with the gear that's available now, not the ones that's coming out in 6 months from not next year's camera, but the time and skill that you can apply and learn in a year's time is going to be so much more valuable than you waiting for that newer camera, if it is the first camera that you're purchasing. So I'll leave that being said. It says tech for your needs. If you have a monitor and a keyboard and mouse, I would seriously look into the M1 Mac Mini if I were you. Yep, yeah, if you have that other stuff, even if you don't, because you can put any monitor to it, so you're not like limited to a certain screen size. You know, like there's people who are not buying the Apple iMacs, the new ones, because they're like, oh, it's a 24 inch, I want the 26 or the 27 inch when it comes out. Yeah, you can sit there and wait. You know, if you get an M1 Mac Mini, it's gonna have the same type of power as most likely the one that you're gonna purchase, and you can get a screen and be using that computer for a year before the other one comes out. You know how much work you can get done in a year? So yeah, highly recommend the M1s. They're just rocking. They're just doing so good. This is Kevin. True. If I'm going to keep it in manual, the Rokinon might be better. I get rid of the Zeiss. The motor sound is creepy. Callie, try it in manual, because if it's in manual, the motor should shut off and there should be no sound coming from the motor. And I would recommend to test out that one before you buy a Rokinon that's manual, because you're going to be using them in the same functionality. So put it to manual, set the focus manually, and see if that works for you before you purchase another manual lens that you'll be doing the same exact thing. And if it is manual, the motor should shut off and you shouldn't hear a peep out of it. And I feel you, if it's a creepy sound and you don't like it, make sure that it doesn't make that sound. But let me know how that works out for you, because I don't think that once you put it in manual, it will make another peep. Says Kevin, that's my next move. I already have the peripherals. Oh, then yeah, you're set. Okay, so Kevin says, no worries about the fan with the music, it's not too bad. Thank you. Talking about that, I love this song. That's also like, like if we were hanging out, just at a restaurant, you could hear some light music playing in the background, just hanging out with friends at a bar, you just get the same type of ambiance. Plus, I love all these songs. Like I said, they're on my USB drive. I downloaded every single one of these songs because I'm like, yeah, I listen to that. It says, I use StreamYard for streaming. Do you pay for the StreamYard? Because I think that I tried StreamYard and it's good. Same web-based aspect. The one thing I didn't like was that they had the duck head right here, just there the whole time. I'm like, well, it goes to show you, it wasn't a bad experience. I just think that they limited you to a certain amount of hours per month. And I don't think I would even do, but mostly it was the duck head in the corner. Kim says, by the way, Luis, what RGB lights do you use in the background? Oh, that's actually, you know what? Hold that thought right there, because I actually pulled out the box. I found it while I was cleaning. I'm going to show you guys, because this is exactly what it looks like. Let me see if we could focus on that. It says 4-pack. That's the brand. The brand is 4-pack. Check that out. And this is what they look like. Let's see if we can get it to focus on. Wi-Fi bulbs. The thing that really set them apart is the little bottom base. They're like highlighter green. That's the one that I picked up on Amazon. I think they were like $6 or $7 a light bulb. I don't remember how many I got here. But yeah, it was something like that. I think they came out to like $7 light bulb. I think the 4-pack was like $28, something in that vicinity. Yeah, so I think I probably spent like $60 or $70 on lights. But let's see. Oh, we could do the math, right? How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 times 7. That's how much I spent on lights, roughly. And yeah, they're all Wi-Fi controlled. So when I say 4s, I have 2 key lights, which I had showed you before. What I didn't show you through the behind the scenes is that behind my televisions, behind my monitors here, I also have 2 of the Wi-Fi bulbs. So that's to create ambiance with the colors while I'm here, because it actually helps to separate the monitors from the back, so it causes like drowsiness when you're working in front of monitors. I have a lamp shade over here. That's what I'm pointing at right there, just like a Home Depot, lamp that clips on. And it's, if you can see this part right here, that's a shelf. That light is just clipped onto the end of the shelf and then pointed there to cast the light in that direction. One thing that I've never spoken to you guys about, which is this blue light right here, this little guy right here. If you see the blue on my face, you see that it's coming from that area. That was another DIY project that I did there. That was the story was, it was a television projector. So it was a projector to project movies onto like a white screen. It was a cheap China piece of junk that was bought on Wish, right? I got my hands on it to try to repair. Wasn't worth repairing. As soon as you open it up, I'm like, this is absolute Mickey Mouse. It was a toy. The person says don't care about it, so instead of throwing it away, what I did was I ripped out the guts, and what I saved was the light. So that light is from a projector. It was way too bright and needed to be controlled, so I made a snoot for it to just control it into a single beam, and now it became a spotlight. I had it just lying around that way for the longest time, and it was when I decided to put this to work on YouTube, where now that is an individual light that, even though I shut off all the lights, that one's plugged in independently, and it's literally on just like another tripod stand and headed in my direction. So let me show you what I'm gonna do with it right now. I'm gonna actually point it at the camera. You can see that's super bright, and I just take it off the lens so that there isn't a lens flare, but it's still casting that light that's separating me from the back. I don't have high ceilings, so I can't really put it high, so I put it behind the iMac so that it can be an aesthetic part. The bluish tint to the light is also another reason why I decided to put the other RGB light in blue in that corner, so that they can just mesh well together. And then over here I have a $30 softbox from Amazon. Now this is probably the most intricate part of like the lighting setup, because one light bulb of the RGBs in that softbox did nothing. It was almost like the softbox was way too big, and it would just like eat up all the light instead of actually directing it to where I wanted. So I purchased a 4 light bulb hub. So the centerpiece, which is one light bulb screw, so to speak, or one socket in the center, I put an adapter that splits it into 4, and then I threw 4 of the RGB lights into that softbox, and it gives me like a full control RGB daylight. The bulbs are actually pretty impressive because they work from 2700 to 6500 as far as the temperature goes. So it's giving you a really good scale when it comes to the temperature degrees plus RGB. I've seen the inside of them. The white, when it's warm white or cool white, all the way, the entire spectrum from 27 to 65 is on a completely different set of LEDs that are making the colors, and then the RGBs are a completely different set, so they never mix together, so that you'll never have like a color cast issue, and they've worked out pretty well. Now I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna go into dark mode, and that just shuts pretty much everything off. The only thing that stays on are my key lights, and that's the light that stays plugged in. I can go all off, which that's every light in the place is off. The only thing that you're seeing right now is that, you know, that spotlight and my actual monitors, like my iPad and stuff like that. And then I can go full power, which is completely blown out and super bright. So those are all the aspects of the live stream, and all controlled through this wireless app. And you can see it's very responsive to all the colors and all the changes that I want to have done. So as soon as I click it, it gets done, and it's worked very well. Super inexpensive, but have worked well for me. These are just standard little Wi-Fi. It says RGB CW, so I believe it's red, blue, green, and cool white, because it goes all the way to 6500. And yeah, a little bit more information because it's here. It says it's 600 lumens, so each one is 600 lumens. That's probably where I got the information. Once I saw 600 lumens, I was like, I'm gonna need at least 1600 for that softbox. Just did the math. I was like, 18 we can work with. Let's go with it. So I'm able to get that bright white because I have 4 of the RGB bulbs into that softbox, which cast the majority of the magenta that you see in this area. Yeah, and those are my lights. I got lucky with those lights. I know that there's a video, some of my videos have the links to Amazon directly for those lights, so I just need to look that one up and put it up. Excuse me. All right, let's see where we're at. Okay, we were at Kippy asking me about the lights. It says chocolate twist yoga. I have some old lenses from when I was a Canon user that have creepy AF sounds. Hey, you know what? This guy right here, man. Let's get it in there. Oh, love this lens. Canon 50mm f1.4. Every time this thing autofocuses, it sounds like somebody's racking billiard balls. It does. It just sounds like it's just horrible. But I also mentioned it. I have it in one of my videos. I'm like, those lenses were not made for video. They weren't. They were made for photography. That's why, you know, photography carries no sound. You don't care what sound it makes as long as the autofocus was fast and you got the images that you wanted, you know. The only time that it would be a burden would be like at a wedding, but to each his own, right? And but yeah, these lenses were never made to be quiet. That's funny, Kevin. Okay, Brian Smith Pictures Ultimate Guide to APS-C E-mount lenses for Sony mirrorless cameras will show you all the lenses for your needs. Zoom in primes. I'm gonna have to look into that, Randall, because when I made the video about the Sony lenses, that was one of them, like only one lens, I really went on the hunt to see how many E-mount lenses are there exactly. And that was a pretty hard list to find. It always varied. And what I was able to count for myself, and not counting extenders and stuff like that, but E-mount native and nothing adapted from the A-mount, I was like at 65 lenses that I was able to count myself. And that was prior to them dropping the 3 f2s and f2.5, the little compact ones. That was before the 14mm and also before the 50mm. So that's 5 lenses there that I'm like, these guys gotta be well over 70 lenses in the E-mount system, which is incredible. Oh, Peter Gregg in the house. Hey Lewis, looking great, sounding great. Long weekend this time. All is well. My love to Aiden. Yeah, you know what? I forgot that it was a long weekend, because my weekends consist of work and hanging out with you guys. So Monday and stuff like that, Monday's just gonna be Monday for Mr. Fix It, no real big difference, and I'm not a party person. So it says, oh yeah, for sure, I sent the Zeiss back. Oh, okay, so if you sent it back and you don't have it, that's a whole different ballgame. You're still looking for something to replace it. That's cool. But like I said, if you still had it, like try to see if you can. But if you don't got it, hey, go ahead. You might want to look into that Rokinon, because it's probably going to be less expensive. But I think you had gotten a good deal on the Zeiss. Current laptop is a Dell XPS 13. That's a great computer. I never had problems with the Dell XPSs. Everything else Dell, that's a whole different ballgame. There's like, if it doesn't say XPS, it's like almost Dell hadn't cared, and that's been more recent, more recently. Absolutely couldn't agree more, especially if you were a beginner. 6 months is a long time to lose working on learning and growing. Absolutely. 2020 was such a slow year for a lot of other things that I went picture crazy, and I was taking photos of everything and anything, just honing my craft as much as I possibly can. I ended up taking 50,000 images plus in 2020. Now, I'm telling you the truth, not all of them are good, and not all of them were paid gigs. A lot of them was just test images where I'm testing out a lens and I'm trying to see which one's more focused, or just me driving around in the car and taking my day-to-day images of things that I find interesting to see what I can do to better up my photography in so many different ways, and how I would use a lens and so on and so forth. But I ended up taking 50,000 images in a year. So if there's a potential to take 50,000 images and you learn from every single one of them, why would you wait? Why would you negate yourself on that because you're trying to wait for a new piece of hypothetical gear? Doesn't make sense to me. So we agree on that. It says the other thing is, depending on where your mic is and what type of mic you're using, you might never hear it in your videos, only in the studio. That is true, but if she hears it, and if she's doing yoga and she's hearing something go, that's gonna distract her from her focus, from her zen, and that's not gonna allow her to be the presence and the instructor that she needs to be on camera. And that's just me thinking. It says, why did that one come up? It says, I don't pay for StreamYard. I missed $10 on the Christmas deal. 720 output. But then that's what I would tell you. If it isn't the fact that your computer, you don't want it to like do any of the work, and you just want to connect to it, then you're good. Especially with the StreamYard. If you're willing to put the work on your computer, then I would probably tell you Streamlabs, because Streamlabs, even though it's an OBS it's very similar to OBS. It's got all the little like fine details worked out, and people are actually updating it, so you will stay up to date. And I didn't have any issues when I used it. Okay, says Kevin Cox, dude, it sounds like a cicada invasion. That's her lens. Oh, I love that, Callie. That's so funny. So it sounds like a cicada invasion. It makes the hair on the back of my neck stand on end. No joke. You see? Like, I think we're all in the same mindset. Like, yeah, it's the noise that makes the hair on the back of her neck stand up. So right there, that goes to show you that's not gonna be a working lens for any production. Even if you can't hear it on the mic, she can hear it. It says that's too funny. That sounds like a nightmare. White rice, black beans, and chicken breast. That was yesterday. That's Peter Gregg. Peter Gregg, for those of you who don't know, Kevin, Callie, he hosts a weekly live stream. He's been doing it for since February last year, right? I think. And I mean last year, like 2020. So well over a year. Every Friday, a group of Peter-tarians always show up to his live streams, and we have a really close, cool, tight-knit community. Some of the members here, Randall, Rob, Mario, that show up to these live streams are also part of that community. And it was just yesterday that we were just all in chat, as always, on a Friday night. And Peter asked me what I was cooking for dinner, because I mentioned that I was cooking and that I was having dinner, but I actually made it, and that was yesterday's dinner. White rice, black beans, and chicken breast. Today I had a snack, and I really didn't even eat. I'm going to see what I'm going to eat after the live stream. Oh, that was his next line. Oh wait, that was last night. Ha ha ha. Tonight it was Arby's beef and cheddar and a Jamocha shake. Oh, you see, I don't think they're open now. You got me craving some Arby's beef and cheddar. You know what? I'm probably gonna have to end up going to a Wawa or something to get something made similar to that, to see if I can now fix the itch, so to speak. You see, even Nano says it. He's like, Peter Gregg, you're making me hungry. And so did Randall. He says, stop it, you're making me hungry. He's about to close down the live stream and be like, yep, I'm gonna get some food. See you guys next week. And be out of here. Everybody's on the way. Just a simple message of Arby's beef and cheddar and Jamocha shake. That's so funny. It says dark is almost monochromatic. Oh, that's what he was saying about my look. It says dark mode is almost monochromatic with the gray shirt. Kind of a cool look. It's funny, you know what? Everybody, like, I did it last week, and I was like, oh, dark mode, and everybody was like, ooh, I like dark mode, like, it looks good. I was like, okay, so you know what? Let's check dark mode for a little bit. I'm gonna leave it on for a little bit so that I can see what it looks like, because this saves me electricity too. Like, this is no actual, ambiance. That's so funny. It says Oreos cookies can help you with that. LOL. No, it's Krispy Kremes, Peter. The Oreo cookies are for the chocolate cake. Absolutely, positively, no popcorn, young man. I don't do popcorn. You're losing me, Peter. Kevin says, Callie says exactly to Kevin. Says too late, it's all gone. Pearline ice cream now. I'm not the biggest fan of ice cream. Now, here's a question for you guys, and this is just to know, because I had mentioned before, do you like cake or pie, right? But if you are doing cake, are you frosting or no frosting? Let's see. I'll tell you guys right off the bat, me, not the biggest fan of frosting. That's why I think I prefer pie over cake. It says, sorry I didn't respond back. I was talking to a family member. Yes, my name is actually Brian, but I go by Bride because I was going to make the channel called Bride on the Prize. Okay, but at least I know that it's Brian, and that way I'll say it correctly from here on out. Just had a little bit of a brain fart, but no worries, man. Thanks for hanging out, man. I really do appreciate, you know, having you here as part of this community. You know, the fact that we met on Clubhouse, that we continue to stay in contact through Professor Nez's live stream, and now to have you here is, it's like, it's an honor. It's like super cool to know that I'm gonna meet you one day, and that's how it started. It's just super cool. And Peter says hi. Says, I like your t-shirt store. Put the links in your products for streaming. Actually, I'm switching things up now that you mention it. I do have my Teespring store. I went into it to look for some of the merchandise that I had made, and a lot of it is gone, right? So what do we say to that? So one of the models that I have is Glass Before Ass. I made the video and I wanted to mention it, so I actually wanted to see if I could just put like a graphic of the t-shirt that I had created on screen, and I went back to my Teespring store to look for the graphic and I couldn't find it, and I started searching through all the pages, and all of the Glass Before Ass logos and a lot of the artwork that I had created on that website is completely gone, and the store is completely rearranged, I guess, through an update, but a lot of the items are missing, and I'm most likely not gonna redo it there because I'm gonna be moving forward with a new company, which is part of the LGL community. They're called Press and Sew. They have really, I'm talking about extreme levels of quality control when it comes to the product that you guys would be getting if you decide to get, you know, a shirt and things like that. So I'm going to be moving all of my merch and all of my artwork, because everything that I've created, and that's for those of you guys who don't know, everything that you've seen on my channel is 100% from me, MrCameraJunkie. Every overlay, anything and everything that you've seen on my channel is from me, is created from me, and my shirts are all my designs, it's all my artwork, it's all my photography, it's all everything done by me. So if you know, every design, everything has been done by me. So it's just me trying to give back and show my appreciation for this community and trying to put everything that I can into it. So with that being said, the fact that those files are missing from Teespring kind of just bummed me out, but it was just kind of like the pushing force to say, you know what, let me go ahead and start moving forward with Press and Sew. And I sent them my first design, like I think it was yesterday. I think I sent my first design to them that I'm gonna be moving forward with. I sent it to them yesterday after Heather's live stream. So yes, after I participated in Heather's live stream where I mentioned my slogan, which you guys have heard that I always say, which is upgrade your skills before your gear. It just hit me. I'm like, that needs to be on a t-shirt. So the first shirt that I'm making with them is a simple design which you should be able to get in any color whatsoever, and it just says upgrade your skills. That's it. And I can't wait to get it because it's part of the Camera Junkie legacy, so to speak, but it's also generic enough so that not only photographers would actually hopefully purchase the apparel. So maybe it could be a little bit broader so that it could be more applicable to different genres of content creators, which is who would be most likely to purchase that gear, especially from the company Press and Sew, because that's also another advantage, that people who are already purchasing from them, part of this same community, the creator community, is just putting my merchandise in the proper shelf, because it's a lot harder to be found on Teespring because it has to be directed, and as you can see, they can change the website and it changes pretty much everything, you know, and I don't even know where my own designs are, so now I have to go back into my computer, get those out, and then slowly start rebuilding that catalog, but with Press and Sew, one design at a time, and that's what's gonna happen. So I'm really excited because I'm excited to work with them. They're just such a great couple and such a great company to be associated with. I'm really excited to be moving forward, you know, with the merchandise from here on out with Press and Sew. So shout out to Press and Sew, guys. You guys are awesome. Okay, he says, it's funny because Professor Ness calls me Brian. Yes, he always does, Brian. But I don't correct him. Well, I'm glad to know that even though he does that, I'm calling you correct. So Brian, that's the pronunciation, and that's what I'm gonna go with. I just called you Randy. You aren't home. Jake says so many lenses. Yeah, if we're talking about Sony has so many lenses. You know, and that's what I'm telling you, like, I have lenses that I'm thinking about selling on, and that doesn't even include the 18 vintage lenses that I own. 18 vintage lenses. Like, when am I going to use all of these? I don't know, but certain of those vintage lenses is stuff that I can't go replace if I needed to. I can't even rent. So those are things that I would like. Those are pieces that are going to stay with me. Like, one of my favorites is my Nippon Gogaku 50mm f1.4 from Nikon. That lens is older than me, a 1969 model. Amazing images that I get whenever I adapt that to my camera. It's absolutely one of my favorites. I use that one a lot, actually, and that's the one that comes with me mostly when I'm doing portraiture, because I will do an entire like photo shoot and then I'll take some pictures for me to see if I can maybe get like a really good shot that I could then better use for my client as well, you know, to get a one in a lifetime kind of manual focus vintage shot on a vintage lens. Money. Another thing that I did was I purchased a Fuji camera so that I could actually adapt all of these vintage lenses and use the film simulation, you know, in conjunction with the vintage lens to get a really vintage look. Everybody's going right, I hang a left. So when everybody's looking into new gear, I'm looking into old gear, and I have a fascination for vintage lenses. Nano's going to sleep, I guess. So later, folks, good night. Have a great night. It is getting a bit late. Yeah, we're working on 2 hours. Kevin is saying bye to Nano. Peter Gregg, phone ringer is still not working. The storm did something to it. Okay. That storm must have been really bad yesterday, man. Power outages and everything. It says, Kevin, you have a channel. Yes. Should be named Kevin Cox. It says, not personally. Oh, I'm wrong. It says, edit and produce for my fiance. Looking to start one here very, very soon. Oh, look at that. I didn't even know that. I always just assumed that, you know, like you were, like everything that you were doing was directly onto your channel. I need to carve out some more time to actually start looking at all these channels, because there's not all that, like, there's not that much time in the day. Okay, I just looked you up. It says you don't have one. He knew before I did. It says, what's up, MrCameraJunkie? Hey, look who it is, man. MrCameraJunkie3. How you doing, man? That's a symbol for your avatar? Yeah. How you doing, man? thanks for stopping by, bro. Appreciate you hanging out here. As you can see, Peter's hanging out. Just testing you, Kevin. Haha. Said Joey. Excuse me. I caught quite a few Peter Gregg streams during quarantine last year. Long time lurker over there. Check that out. See? Small digital world, right? Kippy says, I had an Arby's a long time ago. Wish they still had it here, but I remember it being one of the best burger experiences I ever had. They make good stuff. I've never had a problem with Arby's. You know, the only thing was, personally, I'm not big on fries, and that was their gimmick for a long time. Like, oh, curly fries. I would do the curly chili fries. Good stuff. But there was a bunch of different places that probably did it better than Arby's. It says, oh yeah, it does look pretty good. Oh, that's right. I'm still in dark mode. Check this out. I'm going to put it back. Boom. Live stream. There we go. It says, maybe one warm practical over your right shoulder. You know what? I could try that. Hold up. We're going to go back to dark mode, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my... Let's see if we just turn this one on. Okay. Just one blue light. Let's see. We'll go with that for right now. It says, I love the dark mode look. You really pop out. Hey, it's becoming a hit. I gotta check it out, you know. Gotta put some emphasis. I think I'm liking the one blue light right now. Like the dark mode mixed with the blue. I think that's really making a difference that I like as well. So let me know what you guys think of this new set. Alright, so Peter says, Kip, Arby's is a roast beef sandwich, but not sure if they sell a burger. Kippy answered my question, says no frosting. Yeah, just the cake. Like there's a traditional cake, you know, Hispanics eat a lot, called tres leches. Is very like moist with milk, condensed milk, and even that is just, it's more about the layers in the cake with the texture than it is about the frosting. So definitely I'm a no frosting type of guy. It says light frosting or tres leches. Oh my god, that's so funny. I promise you, Jake, I hadn't read that at all. So me mentioning tres leches is just such a coincidence. But cheesecake or apple pie for the win. Dude, yo, Jake, we can hang out anytime, bro. Anytime, because the only cake that I consider that I'll be like, the only cake that I eat is cheesecake. And, you know, you're going to know this now. My entire life, my birthdays was like, what type of cake do you want? Cheesecake. And I've eaten cheesecake for my birthday my entire life because that's my favorite cake. And definitely pie over any cake, but not cheesecake. Because that's like a hybrid, right? It's so dense, it's cheese. You don't need nothing else. A great New York style slice of cheesecake. And we'd be like, with strawberries, yeah, give or take. Not necessary. Good if you have them, but if you don't have them, not necessary. A good slice of New York style cheesecake, oh, all day. All day. Cream cheese on cake. Oh, that's a whole nother thing. That's my favorite frosting, right? Cream cheese frosting. So let's. We're going down that rabbit hole. Peter says pie. Cookies over cake. Yes, all day. And now cookies, oatmeal raisin. And honestly, I don't know from where you guys, you know, where everyone's at. Here in Florida, Subway has these oatmeal raisin cookies. They look like, they're like this big. And when you grab half of it just like bends down and just starts folding on you because they're super soft. They're almost like not fully baked. My favorite. Hands down my favorite. Subway's half-baked oatmeal raisin cookies. Oh, don't get me started. This is almost sounds like I gotta pee. Great one, Peter. Thanks. It's Peter. I remember the thin sliced beef and how it's so good. Oh, Brian says cake with frosting. Okay, so there we go. There we know. See, learn a little bit more about everybody here. Is the R18-35 1.8 any good on the A6100 for video? Or just go with the Sigma 16 1.4? Now, the R18-35, that is a Sigma as well, right? Because we're talking about art lens. So let me just type it in here. 18-35. You said millimeter art. This is what I'm looking at. Okay. So here we have it. Yeah, let's see. Oh, so it's a Canon EF or... Okay, there is a Sony adapted one. No, that's a 35 millimeter. If it's an adapted lens versus a... Let me see. If you're gonna go adapted versus the 16 1.4, I would tell you to go to the 16 1.4. I'm not sure. Let me just see. This is APS-C format. What I'm not reading is I'm not seeing stabilization. So if it were me, I would go with this bad boy right here, the 16 1.4, because the one thing that I would say that that camera would have better up is if it had stabilization, you know. But if it doesn't have stabilization, it's not as wide. You can get a little bit of a zoom, but you're going to be paying for that zoom and you're not really going to get the most out of that lens. You know, especially for video, because if you're still going to have to stabilize it like separately because the stabilization is not built into the lens and is definitely not on the camera, then I wouldn't recommend that. I would recommend sticking with the 16 1.4. The 1.4 versus the 1.8 is 2/3 of a stop of light, which is very dramatic. And yeah, that's what I would do. And you're gonna save a lot of money. You're gonna save like $400. You can get 2 of the Sigma primes for the price that you would pay for that one. So you could actually get, yeah, you could get the 16 millimeter and the 30 millimeter all in the 1.4 primes for the APS-C. Is going to be much smaller and it won't be adapted. Okay, so hopefully that answers that. Peter says, OMG, the 18-35 is awesome anywhere. I don't doubt it, but for the price and it being adapted because it's not native to Sony, I would say go with the Sony native. Says, does it need an adapter? Yes, we just checked. So yes, it needs an adapter, and that's why I wouldn't recommend it with the email. You're already adapting. Let me explain. Let me just show you why I think this is the difference, right? That's the difference. Look at how close I can get to this and it's gonna focus. I'm past the light. I'm past where my key light is, so it's already falling into shadow. And as like I'm literally like 3 inches off of the lens. And look at how sharp it is, and as soon as I take it off, right onto my face. The autofocus on this, that's gonna make all the difference in the world. I had mentioned in a previous live stream not too long ago, if Nikon wants to do something serious with their new cameras, they just need to get autofocus right. You know, they have their fan base, they have their, you know, they're faithful, and they have good lenses. Fix the autofocus, fix the fix it so that it works, and you're gonna see how that Nikon is gonna sell more than all the previous Nikons. It says it comes already for the Canon mount, but if you buy the right model. I was just looking at it, Peter. I didn't see it, and this is B&H. So I'm not seeing the 18 directly to the E mount. I'm seeing primes. See F mount. Yeah, it looks like that 18 to 35, even though it's an APS-C, is still based around the DSLR flange distance. It says it depends on which mount. Yep, we're all talking about the same camera, but if you buy the E mount, then it goes to the Sony. I don't think they have it. So I might be wrong, but from my quick little research here, I think B&H would have that lens. Let me see. Why isn't it giving me the option to type in there? Okay, I'm not gonna worry about that right now. Okay, Joey, go with the 18 to the 35. It's much more useful. It says no, it's not a crop sensor lens. Okay, then we're talking about a completely different lens, because then I think you're talking about the 16 to 35. The 16 to 35 is a full frame, but then that's also, I believe, like closer to $900, which is also a great lens. But I believe Joey said it was for an A6100. So A6100, it's APS-C. You don't need to go full frame. So it also depends on your budget. So look into it. Well, that's exactly what he says. No, it's not a crop sensor lens, but Joey will work on a full frame camera too. You see, Peter, we're talking about two different lenses. The one that you're talking about, I agree with you. The one that I'm bringing up here, that one is not. This one here is not native to the Sony. I know the one that you're talking about, and that one is a DSLR lens that has a like built-in adapter to be onto the Sony E mount. But this one is a Sigma, see, DC HSM art lens. And it says it right there. Let me see if I can zoom into it. E mount lens, APS-C format. Right off B&H. APS-C Canon adapted lens, and when you go to the 18, that's exactly what you're going to find. So let's see here. 16 to 35. Yep. Okay, yeah, E mount. And it's a 2.8. Oh, that's not the art, that's the G Master. And that's also not it. Come on, Adorama. Maybe I'm confused. Okay, I'll look into it because it's not. It's showing only Sony. If I remember correctly, I could be wrong, but if my memory serves me, and if it serves me incorrect, it's gonna be incorrect. That I believe that Sigma also has the 16 to 35 f2.8, which is the one that I can't seem to find. Okay, Kevin says he's got to go. Nice hanging out, talking to everyone. Thanks for stopping by, Kevin. Appreciate you, man. says, ah, thanks. The reviews for both are very positive. Okay. So it looks like he's looking into it. Peter saying night to Kevin. But honestly, you can call me Bry because that's what my name was. Going to be using that on my YouTube channel. Well, if you prefer that, I'll call you Bry. That way it'll just be easier. And then Professor Nez doesn't have to feel bad. Alright, I think he's correcting a typo. We don't worry about typos here. It says, Bry, are you typing or doing talk and text? It says, but I do love cheesecake. That I have like a layer of topping is that condensed frosting. Oh, that's actually, I believe, if I'm correct on what you're saying, the original cheesecake does have like a layer of sour cream on it, which most people don't know it. And I New York style over an original because I could care less for the sour cream. Peter's also saying goodnight. Yeah, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, so I am gonna be wrapping things up here. It looks like everybody's already saying goodnight ahead of me. So goodnight, Peter. Night night. Stay safe. We have a whole major lockdown starting tomorrow. Oh, that sucks, Kippy. Sorry to hear that. If you ever want to talk, you can shoot me a message on Instagram. It says, sorry I got a phone call, but I'm back up to speed. Hi Peter, hi Rand, Joey, Kippy, and all the new people I don't know yet. Oh, Sly, I thought you were just hanging out, maybe driving, listening. But that's cool. Kippy saying hi. Bryce saying, Peter, Greg, yes, I talk and text. That's why my text sometimes looks crazy. I have to stop and read it sometimes to make sure it looks correct. But that's awesome, Bry. I appreciate you still, participating here. This is, I guess that last test I did look crazy. I did realize it, but it was way too late to correct it. But like I said, don't worry. We all speak typo here. Well, I read typo. Sigma has a 18 to 35 millimeter for $5,000. Full frame though. Well, I guess with me is just that budget is. I'm always budget conscious. I'm always, because that's the biggest thing. People will be like, "Oh, that's expensive," or "That's too costly." I'm like, I don't ever say that. I say, "What's your budget?" And if you can afford it, more power to you. Like, if I could afford the 24mm f1.4, I would have it. But hey, just one day I'll be able to work up to that, and that's all it is. And it's all knowing that the day that I get to that, I'm probably no longer going to be using this Sigma 16mm, or maybe dedicate it to like a live stream like this only. So we'll go from there. Mario's in the house. Says late but here. Hello Lewis. Hello all. How you doing, man? Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, but we've been 2 hours into it, so I am gonna be closing it up right now. So, but thanks for stopping by. Ooh, excuse me. Sly is saying hi to Mario. Says better late than not at all. Like I said, I do appreciate him hanging out. Says my favorite thing to eat is cheesecake before a cake, so I'm a cheesecake man. Bry, major brownie points, bro. Major brownie points in my book. All right, so let's go back to this because Mario, let me know what you think of this look right now, because this is kind of like a viewer's choice, so to speak. Everybody likes the dark mode that I have here on my phone, and just to show you, that's exactly what it's called. Let me see if I can bring that up. See it right here. Oh, let's see. Focus. Right there. Come on, focus. Dark mode. See? Those are all my presets. All off. MCJ. This is my MrCameraJunkie setup. This is my dark mode. which is basically everything off except my key lights. And then what I did was I also added the Bluetooth. Oh no, not that one. The Bluetooth, the monster light there. Boom. I have them all named. So I have my key lights, my rim lights, my main lights, my television lights. Everything's set up. But yes, guys, I think that is it. Okay, we have a couple of new messages here. Says the Sigma 18 to 35 T2 high-speed zoom lens, Sony E mount, $4,000 full frame. You know what? Before I say, hey, yeah, that's it, or that you should, I would definitely tell Joey to check that out first, because even Sigma right now is coming out with their new cameras to actually keep up with the speed of the autofocus of these Sony cameras. So it's still older technology. So, you know, more power to you, but I would tell you, if you're gonna drop 4 G's on a lens, I would definitely just make sure that that's the lens that you want. That's it. That's all I can tell you. You know, that's the best advice that I can give you. Everyone does to each their own, because it's like I was saying, you know, price and expense, that's all relative to somebody's budget, you know. Because what we could consider to be a little bit out of budget, a doctor will come by and be like, that's nothing, I spent more on my Leica. So it's all really relative to your situation and your budget. So if you can afford it, go for it. But I would definitely say, if I can get a similar type image on an A6100 and be more compact with the 16mm f1.4 and save me $3,600, I'm gonna look into that option. And how I mentioned before, this little lens is so good that it's prevented me from buying the Sony G Master 24mm f1.4, because if I want that low light capability in the 24mm focal length, I use this lens so that I can get those images instead of having to spend, how much is that one? And we hit the shopping tab. That one's $1,300. So, you know, it's not the most expensive, but it's also not inexpensive. And for my budget, it's out of my budget. So that it really goes to show, like, if I had the money for it, I would own this lens. I don't, so I am happy with the production and the quality that I'm getting from this lens as we speak. It's actually, because I love the focal length so much and it's working so well, it's pretty much my favorite lens at the moment, because I probably use it the most right now. So okay, so let's see. It says, should the Sigma Art 18 to 35 1.8 DC HSM, but I think more faster for less money is the way to go. The Sigma 30 f1.4, once I can get an A6100 for a second mirrorless camera. If that's what you're looking for, also to get a second body, then I would definitely tell you to look into these Sigma Primes, just so that you can match into your budget and be able to pick up a 5100 as your secondary camera. And that's really depending on what you want to use it for, because an A5100 could still work with clean HDMI to get you a great signal if live streaming is something that you're looking to do. So, you know, it's all about your options. Just make sure that you think about it. Don't just go and purchase something that's really expensive because you hope to think that it's gonna fix everything. Make sure. He says cheesecake sounds so good right now. Cheesecake sounds good all the time. You tell me when cheesecake, just the sound, you hear the word, you say cheesecake and you're like, yeah, it could be breakfast. Cheesecake breakfast? Absolutely. Like if somebody told you, I have cheesecake flavored crepes for breakfast, you'd be like, we're gonna get it done. That sounds delicious, actually. Cheesecake crepes. Oh, get the cheesecake filling warm inside of a crepe. Oh, forget it. I'm gonna ruin all of you guys with these ideas. I like the dark mode, but set the monster to purple, just for grins. Okay, let's check it out. And it's funny, that's called the monster light, and I'm gonna tell you why it's called the monster light in just a second. Kind of stay blue, right? There we go. That's actually more magenta than the actual purple, because the purple was actually looking still more blue. But there you go. That's a happy medium right there. The reason why that's called the monster light, right, is because I drink Monster energy drinks. The cans, those green cans, it's like if you tell me Coca-Cola or Monster Energy, I'm like Monster Energy. It has nothing to do with me trying to get like energized. It has to do 100% with the flavor. So I took a Monster can and I filled it with some pennies so that it could be weighted, and then I built a lamp to fit behind the monitor there, just so that it can cast that light. So when I went to name that light bulb on the adapter here on the app on my phone, I was like, what am I? Okay, that's the Monster lamp, so it's the Monster light, and it has to do with the Monster energy drinks. So I'll probably take a picture and put it on the Peter Gregg forum I'm gonna say YouTube and on Facebook, and actually show you guys what that looks like, because everything, like I said, everything that you guys see here, I pretty much made. So even the light or the lamp that's holding the light there to cast that color there was made by me from a Monster can and a light bulb fixture, because I like do-it-yourself stuff, and IKEA is one of my favorite places. So I can't tell you how many times I've been to IKEA, and you get into the lighting department and it's just like a 30-foot cable with, you know, a light bulb socket, and you plug it into the wall. I'm like, yeah, I'm picking that up for $5. Absolutely. It's like a giant extension. I've used it to light up my cars, you know, at night. So many great features for carrying it, and now it became a lamp that's now called the Monster light that I use on my live streams. So the story of the Monster light. Mario says, I like that you're always working to make your show interesting. Thanks, Mario. That really does mean a lot, but I do. I'm always trying to tweak and, you know, but I also have fun doing that. Like, I can't tell you that. Yeah, I work here as well, you know, and I'm constantly on computers fixing phones when I'm on the road and so on and so forth. But when I'm fixing iPads, computers, anything like that, that's all done here in house. So this is where I'm working, and it's constantly changing because of my workflow. So it's almost like this is the base and this is how I have it. But like as soon as the live stream's over, my iPads and all this stuff gets taken down. My microphones get pushed off to the side, and then it's like everything gets opened back up for work. So it's always a work in progress, and whenever I go live, I have to just reset everything to make sure that everything does work correctly. So, but I do appreciate it because it's work, you know, and just to hear that you guys appreciate that aspect, it really does mean a lot to me. The Sigma Trio 16, 30, and 56 is great. Those Sigmas. But I wanted to talk to you, Randy, like maybe on another day, to hear what your thoughts are of your new Nikon gear. Because I was looking at it and it just looks great. You've gone full frame versus the APS-C, and would love to know your thoughts on that gear. But we'll get to that on another, maybe next week. It says f1.4 primes, absolutely. Bri, I hope you have a good night. Everyone else, have a great night. Thanks, man. It says cheaper. I bought 4 of those smart lights and I'm trying to find the color that works with all this white hair. So reflective, you can use white. You should be able to use any color that you like, but I would tell you, more than your hair, don't worry about that when it comes to the colors. Worry about your skin tone, because that's more important than your hair. Your hair is always gonna be like that. Like even me, my beard hair is not even gray, it's white, but I don't worry about that stuff. Skin tones is gonna determine more of a factor, because if you really think about it, you can make your hair any color that you desire with those RGB lights. So Sly, make a baseball cap with your avatar in front of the camera. Well, I think he said in the front of the cap. So maybe not in front of the camera, but maybe on the front of the cap. That would look nice. If you're interested, on another note, if you guys are also interested, I'm working with Press and Sew for printing shirts. My brother does embroidery. So, do I have that shirt available? No. Maybe I'll show you guys next week my Mr. Fix-It business embroidery shirts. The design and everything was done for my brother. He actually does really good work. That's what he does. He says that I could just put it on a hat. Jake says the Viltrox 23 1.4 is also a viable option. Yes. And you know what? It is autofocus, but I don't think it's image stabilized, so that's also very good. A friend of mine, content creator Kyle Taggart, he actually made a video about that recently, and he's very impressed with the Viltrox lenses, because I believe they have a 23 and a 56. Randall says manual focus with the Viltrox. No, Randy, the new ones are autofocus. The 23 1.4 is an autofocus, and like I tell you, check out Kyle's channel. Actually, you know what? We're saying goodbye. I'm not gonna check the YouTube. We'll be here till 5 o'clock in the morning. We're gonna do a 7-hour live stream like Peter Gregg. But no, the one that he's talking about is an autofocus lens. It's one of the newer ones. Go back to magenta. It matches your border. Let's see. Boop. Here we go. Work on that for a little bit. Says Sly, wear baseball cap and sell it or use it for advertising. So now that's an idea. Simon is doing that right now. The ordinary filmmaker Simon. Yeah. Is he selling those caps? Excuse me, hold on. I need to hydrate. It says LOL. Yep, remember those old ladies with the blue hair? The old ladies with the blue hair. The only one that I remember is the comedy show Mama's Family. Now let me know if you guys know about that show, because that show was funny. It was a spin-off from the Carol Burnett show. Yeah, it was a character. I forgot the actress's name, but that was always such a great show. Extremely funny. And she was the only one that I knew. The old lady with the blue hair, Mama from Mama's Family. Oh, that was such. I'm dating myself, aren't I? That's fine, because I actually loved that show so much. That's probably a show that most shows from back in the day, they don't hold up well in today's world, as far as comedy, satire, everything. And there's some that do, and I think that one might be one of the ones that do. It says, send me your brother's info. I'll be adding Randonautica. I don't know if I said that right. Randonautica videos soon, and my photographer will be wearing shirts with a little fox in front of it. Okay, that sounds cool. Oh yeah, the magenta is Mexi. Smexy. I'm thinking she said sexy. So I'm going to say the magenta is good. It's giving a good vibe. What I'm seeing is flickering. Let me know if you guys see flickering, or I'll check. Don't worry about it. I'll check it on the replay. So yeah, that's me, Mama Vicky Lawrence. Ah, yes, you nailed it. Yes, Vicky Lawrence. Man, I love that show. Oh, just brought back so many good memories. Such a great spinoff. Even though Carol Burnett was also a great show. And look, just so you guys know, I am going to be mentioning a couple of like television shows that are even older than my generation, because I just grew up watching these shows with my father. So when my dad would be like late nights on a Saturday night watching Jackie Nielsen and the Honeymooners, oh, I can't tell you, like, boom, zoom to the moon, Alice, how many of those episodes I've seen in my lifetime with my father. So my father, you know, talking about it right now, was probably at home watching a rerun of Columbo, because he absolutely, like, hands down, like, loves Columbo still to this day. That's one show that, you know, even though my father loves, I see him watching it and I can't stomach it. I just laugh. I'm like none of that show is viable today. Like, it just wouldn't pass muster. So it's just so funny. It says Tim Conway. Yes, but he had a different show, right? Tim Conway, he was another spin-off from Carol Burnett, but that was also, Carol Burnett's show had such a great cast, you know. So yeah, Jackie Gleason, that's what I said, right? Maybe I butchered the name. Jackie Gleason, the Honeymooners. Just check out those episodes where Tim Conway does the elephant impersonation. See, you guys are gonna get me to start watching television. I haven't watched TV, even the new stuff, in years, but I'm probably gonna start looking at YouTube to take a look at some of those. Randy says best ever, but guys, it's 1:30. We did a 2.5 hour live stream. But as always, I always appreciate you guys spending the time here hanging out with me. It means the world to me. You know, it's like, it's all part of this awesome community that we're building here, and like I appreciate every single one of you guys. But that's it for this live stream. We've gone through everything. We've gone through the setups, and we've had amazing conversations. I love hanging out with you guys, but we got to save a little bit of energy for next week. So absolutely, I can't wait. I will be seeing you for week 27 consecutively on a Saturday night live stream. I can't wait to hang out with all you amazing people next week. And as always, I'm going to leave you with the tip of the day on the outro. So be safe, take care of yourself, get some rest, and I will see all of you guys next week, okay? Have a great night, everyone.
You might be familiar with Sony's class-leading autofocus, but do you know how to make it even better? For most Sony mirrorless cameras, the feature I use is called face registration. It allows you to register up to 8 faces in the internal memory. To register a face, all you have to do is take a headshot photo. Now your camera will recognize you or whoever you register in a crowd. Great for self-recording and event photography. For example, you can register the bride, the groom, and other key family members, making it a lot easier to get the right shot the first time. Mr. Camera Junkie's tip of the day.